Hello, hello, everyone. This is Donna Savage from Talk with Savage Desires. And today I have my very own bestie, Marjorie
Hey,
Smith. Marjorie, thank you so much for joining me today.
it's great to be here. This little chat and get together is long overdue. I miss you so much.
Long, long overdue. It soon happens. COVID soon done. I'm going to come out and hang out with you and all of that. But the reason why I invited Marjorie on today is we wanted to talk about relationship and marriage. So I've known Marjorie for a while, and Marjorie is married for about what, 10 years, Marjorie?
No, girl, this is the 19th
Like,
year.
geez, peas, time I run. Like, geez, I feel like I just met you yesterday.
No,
But
Donna,
know you so
no.
well. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Oh my God.
yes, crazy.
But it's okay, people. We're friends. So I can screw up on how long she's been married, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But Margie, before I jump into the whole marriage relationship, I want to go right back before all of this. So Miss England girl came to Canada to live.
Yeah.
Right? So, Margie, before you got married, talk to me about your dating life before marriage.
Okay, okay, we're
Yeah,
going there.
yeah, we're going there.
I had a very healthy dating life.
Hmm.
Different types of guys, some dating for fun, some, dating seriously. But I learned a lot through my dating career. I call it a career because I did. Well, dating, what is dating really?
Okay, so what is dating for you?
Okay, so dating for me is meeting different guys and getting to know them and determining what I like about someone. Because what you think you like in your head, when you actually meet the person, it's different from what you had thought up in your head that it would be. And things that you thought, no way that I would like, you're like, oh, this is okay. Like, this is not as bad as I thought it would be. So I like to have a lot of fun with my dates when I'm dating. And
Hmm.
so that I knew for sure out of my dating career that
Hmm.
I had to be with someone that made me laugh and that was going to be as silly and ridiculous as me, because that was the only way that I thought that we were going to get through anything.
Wow. And you know what, Marjorie, because I know how you are. So let's give a quick synopsis of how Marjorie and I met. Marjorie and I met in my married life. And funny enough, I was working at this company as an accountant. Yeah, I was an accountant, and Marjorie came, and I was on the phone speaking to my ex at that time, and I mentioned the name, and you're like, "What?
Yep.
Can't be. It's the same person. Call him back," because Marjorie knew my ex for many, 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 many years, and didn't even know he was married with
Didn't have a
children.
clue. Yeah, didn't have a clue, never mentioned it. Friends of the family would see him at my parents' house. No, had no clue they
Nothing.
existed.
Clueless.
No clue.
But this is how the universe works. When
Yeah.
things need to change, it somehow something happened for it to change. Because I met your parents, I know your parents, but I never met you.
Right.
Never met you.
Hmm.
And then, hold on, behold, Margie came to work for the same company that I was working for, and we developed a friendship
Instantly,
instantly.
because of the what? The same crazy spirit.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We were aligned at that time. And to say all of that is to say is Marjorie's always see me smiling, but then it never makes sense to her. So you have this friend for many, many years, or you
Yeah.
thought he was a friend. I didn't even know that other side of him,
Hmm.
and then here comes Miss Savage,
Yes.
and it's like, wow. But I must say, Margie, and I'm going to let the world know that, I can tell you, if it was not for you, I'll probably be sitting in that dark place still.
Oh
But
no.
yeah, seriously, it's because in every journey that we do, it start with something, right?
It does.
It
It does.
start with
It does.
something or someone, or you know what? When you're ready, the teacher will appear. How is that?
Yes, that's it right there.
Right?
That's it.
Because when I met you several months after, I have my cousin from England that came in,
Yes.
and instantly she never liked him. And
You remember?
you remember?
You remember her?
Instantly, she never liked him and went out and
Yes.
bought a. Do you remember that book, that codependent book for me? And
Yes.
that's when things start changing. But
Yep.
anyways, this is not even about that. But I just had to say that I appreciate you to no ends. To
I
no
know.
ends. Cause
I I saw so much in you, and I'm like, no, this cannot happen. Not on my watch. Not while I'm present and I'm here. No, I was determined that I'm going to dig out that beautiful spirit that I knew that was in there.
and you did dig. Remember, you're the first person that bought me a colored top when we
Yes.
went to Skinny.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Oh, and the journey has just begun.
It
The
has.
journey has literally just begun. So, Marjorie, I know we talked about me, but I just had to put it out there that, this is not a fly by night relationship. This is a relationship that Marjorie is one of the few that knew me, that actually knew me. And we cried together, we laughed together. We partied together. I remember the first time I think he invited me to a party, and I went to the party at 10 o'clock when the sun was just
Yes.
like, and you're saying, what the hell? What are you doing there?
I know.
Because I've never really had fun. I never had friends. Like, I never did anything,
Yes.
So it's like, whoa. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about your journey for relationships, your ups and downs, you dating relationship, because I never dated. I didn't have a dating career.
Yeah.
I, so I never really dated to the point that I got married. It's
Right.
one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about the dating aspect and meeting different souls and different personality.
It's important.
It's very important
It
to
is.
date and
It is.
understand people and know exactly what is you want. So, Marjorie, how did you meet Wayne?
Well, I'm one of those stories of the girl and the guy that met at the club.
Okay.
So we met it was obviously a long time ago at Mirage at McCowan and Milner, which
Macau,
is
no,
now Twilight, I think.
yes, we were there a couple weeks ago before the lockdown.
Yeah, right, me too.
Yeah, yeah.
So we met there, and I was in a relationship when we met. So
Okay.
I went out that evening with my girlfriend and my brother and his wife at the time. And then my husband was there with his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're dancing, what have you. And this guy, I was dancing with this guy. And so my then unknown husband cut in and asked if he could, take over the dance. And I was shocked because I'm like, really? Wow, this has never happened. That was a first for me where someone
What?
was,
So he
yeah,
cut you?
he cut in and the guy stepped aside. And, we were dancing and chatting and getting to, just talking. And so then a slow song came on and he, tried to close the gap. And I was like, I'm in a relationship. So this is not going to happen. So he was like, wow, really? I'm like, yeah, we're just, we can just still dance, but we're not doing body to body contact. And so he said, okay, we'll do it. And then the night went on, we chatted, and then it was over. And my friend at the time, she connected with his best friend and they dated for a little bit, but I was still in my relationship. So it wasn't until the guy I was with, he's an atheist. So I knew that was not going to work for me because I'm very, very spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
So after, about a month, 4 to 6 weeks later, we broke up. I broke up with him, and my girlfriend was still speaking to my husband's friend. So she's like, "So, he keeps asking about you," and I'm like, "Okay, you know what? Let's talk."
Mm-hmm. So
So we
so did you have his contact information? Did you guys exchange number at the club?
No, I did not
Okay.
because I was in a relationship, so that was not going to happen. So
Friends.
I'm just like that. That's with me. I don't like to complicate relationships. I
Mm-hmm.
like to keep it because it's already complicated, the
Skated as it
relationship
was.
as it is. Why introduce unnecessary complication?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so we did exchange numbers and we did a lot of time talking on the phone. Lots of on the phone. We didn't meet, we just talked on the phone.
Was
Old
that a first
school.
for you? Was that a first for you to actually have that conversation on the phone before hanging out with someone?
I
Was it
usually
different
it
than the
was
old
different.
relation?
It
Okay.
was different because I was coming out of relationship, so I wasn't really excited about getting into a relationship. More of a friendship,
Mm-hmm.
getting to know you and what have you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's how it started. It was for me. There was no like love at first sight, nothing like that.
No love at first sight.
No,
Okay, so then what prompted you to go on a date with him? What about him? Why you had to go on a date with him? Was he persistent or you just was curious?
he was funny. He made me laugh. And you know how we love to laugh, Donna?
Girl.
So it was like nonstop, laughter. It was easy conversation. So then, I don't even think it was really a date. It was more, let's go here, more like a
So
hangout. Yeah,
friendship
as
type of
friends,
thing.
as friends, as friends. And then, so he's younger than me, six
Oh,
years.
okay.
So that was a huge problem for me.
Because he was your youngest person you ever talked to, is what you're saying.
Yes. And where he was and where I was, I'm like, okay, I'm 34. I'm ready to get the show on the road here. Like, you're 28.
28.
Really? No. And so was adamant, he's mature and
Mamano.
of
Eh, maman.
course, of course. He wants test. I'm the one.
So I wonder, did you guys ever talk? Was it love? What to that? I'd love to speak to him, but we know how he is. To cut a man out, Marjorie. To say, you know what,
You
let me.
know him, right?
Yes, because and I know the story, but I can't see him. Because he's such a laid back.
Ah,
You
yeah.
know.
And, and people, I guess, unless you're in a situation, you're not
Mhm,
really sure what you're going to do. So I guess at
mhm.
that time, and he just felt,
He
he
knew.
already knew from the beginning that I was the one.
He knew that, and that's the thing. He
Yes.
knew,
He knew, he took action and to speak. So yeah,
and he carried you down to him size.
yes.
Because Marjorie, you have this fun personality,
Hmm.
and Wayne is such a laid back person. It's like the two opposite spectrum.
Yeah, he's laid back, but there's still some silliness,
Oh God,
some fun. Like, you know him, he can be
yeah.
as crazy and fun at the same time. He can take a good joke. We're all just crazy. So crazy is the formula that's kept it here.
The craziness.
Craziness. And
So,
just being able to laugh at yourself.
before we jump into the questions about the whole marriage part of your relationship,
Yeah,
right? Did you have? I knew you grew up with your parents.
yeah.
The kind of relationship that your parents had. Did you ever see yourself in that type of relationship? Because we're talking two West Indian parents, some hardcore West
Yeah.
Indian people. When you got married, did you ever see your life living how your parents were living?
Well, I knew my grandparents were together up until they passed, and my parents were together. So I knew that I wanted to be married and be in a committed relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they had fights or whatever, but it was always respectful. Like, there was no hitting, no swearing in that relationship that I saw growing up. Um, of They had lots of fun as well. They went out partying all the time. They had parties at home, danced. My dad played music. My mom danced. My father couldn't cook for anything. His biggest meal was rice with egg on it, like a fried egg. So
Fry.
yeah, so I knew that. I'm like, I'm taking notes. I'm like, my husband has to cook. Like, this is not as much as that was cute. No. So there are obvious things that I took away from that. The way that they bonded together, my father's role, he worked very hard, worked two jobs. My mom was more the cook and clean and take care of the kids in that aspect. But I had the real father daughter bond. Like
Mm-hmm.
if he was alive today, God bless, rest his soul, I would still be his baby,
Of course.
of
Of
course.
course.
So, and
That
you met my dad as well. He's fun, and he's just a real people person.
mhm.
So both my
Your
parents are.
yeah, I know. I was gonna say your mom is fun too. I remember the first time she came to my
Yes.
house because I've always known your father, but never met your mother. And we're all in the basement talking, and your mother said, "Where's the washroom?" She went up in the washroom. She took a while to come down. When your mother come back in the basement, she have a bowl with strawberry. The woman going to the kitchen, find a bowl, went in the backyard, picked strawberries, and then said, "Oh, you guys want any?" It's like
Yep, that's my mom. Yes, yes. So
you
there
couldn't
was,
help but love her because she was
yeah,
just, I
yep,
am who I am.
that's who she is. So I did,
Yeah.
in observing their marriage, I thought, you know what, there's a lot of gold nuggets here, and I do want that for myself.
Okay, so you had a great example of what you wanted your marriage to look like.
Yes, I
Okay,
did. Lots
so
of hugs, kisses, I love yous. My mom was very, you know her, very outspoken about men and getting pregnant and babies and saving your money. So I knew that I wanted to pass that down to my kids. And so I was ready. Like, yeah, marriage was definitely there.
Audrey, I'm listening to your conversation. As I said earlier, I know your stories, but to actually hear you're saying this about your mother,
Hmm.
about the conversations that you have, and then I'll talk to 10, 20 other West Indian young women or women from parents from West Indian parent, and it's like total different conversations because the pregnancy was is not talked about, saving money is not talked about. You
Hmm.
know that's a no no.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so to hear you talking about this is very refreshing, and to and I can see how she brought you up and have that conversation, how it reflect on your lifestyle. If you see where I'm going with it, so it
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
You see where I'm going. So it
Hmm.
makes sense because as parents, we need to have these kind of conversations with our children, money
We do.
conversation, sex conversation, dating conversation. You
Hmm.
know, and then you can see this is where we're talking about um, generational stories
Yes.
and generational wealth
Hmm.
because of what our parents was offered to us as children. And if we were here and present, and I know you as a person, you're going to ask questions.
Correct.
You know what I mean? But a lot
Hmm.
of us were told, you're asking questions. Just do what I say.
Yes.
Do you know what I
No.
mean? Exactly. But you never had that relationship with your parents, right?
No, they were very outspoken, and even if I like, we were encouraged to bring our friends home. If I met a guy, I was encouraged to bring that person home. My dad didn't flex his muscle on them. He chatted with the young man and, got to know him so that he could feel comfortable that his baby was in good hands.
Yes, because he wanted to know whose baby's hanging out with, right?
Right. So all of that, I mean, at the time, of course, you're not thinking anything of it, but as you get older, you draw on those same things that you had when you were growing up.
Hmm.
So that was my growing up, but my husband's growing up was
It's
not the
different.
same.
Exactly. So we're going to stick a pin into that
Yes.
as we reach into the marriage category. So I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
ask you a question. So did you envision having like a fairy tale wedding? Was it a fairy tale long dress or was it a simple, beautiful, quiet wedding?
No, I never envisioned anything that was elaborate because, again, I grew up with the financial conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, everything has to be practical.
Yeah.
Did it make sense to put, and everyone is different. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying for me, did not make sense to put $40,000 into a wedding when my new husband and I could buy a home. So I was a single mom when I met my husband and had my own home. So I
Mm-hmm.
already knew what it was like to have my own home. I sold it and invested my money so that together we could come together and buy something together. So I already, before I met him, that was already the plan in my head. So, and that's just how my brain works. It's always in a preparation mode for something. So no, I didn't envision the 10 bridesmaids, 10 groomsmen with
You
three
know what?
flower girls. No, that was never me. I no.
I know earlier on you mentioned that your parents had a great relationship. You saw that your grandparents had a good relationship until they passed. Your mom and dad had a great relationship when they passed. So my question for you is, Marjorie, and
Hmm.
I'm going to say this: do you want a marriage like everyone else? But to say that like everyone else, it's different gears. It's different buckets.
Yeah.
So I would that was going to be the question, but describe what is your marriage? How does your marriage work? Because now we have two different personality, building a lifestyle. One is outspoken, one is quiet. So what does that relationship look like, or the marriage look like?
Well, it's not easy. When I first met my husband, I said to him specifically, if there is anything that I say or do to hurt your feelings, please let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm all about self reflection, self improvement, all of those things. Now, the person that is that way, saying it to someone who is not, that does not resonate to that person. That puts them in actual shutdown mode. So, you're going along with this thing and you're like, okay, I put it out there. We should be good. Like, there should be nothing. Like, we got this. Why? Yes, we're killing the game, the marriage game. But little did I know, that's not the way that his brain operates. He doesn't like confrontation. He won't initiate those uncomfortable
Conversation.
conversations. He'd rather, you know, pr- hope it'll all go away and then we can just move on from there.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that personality type and mine, it becomes very difficult because when things are not addressed, the person finds another outlet to um, get these things off their mind or try to avoid it. So it's had its ups and downs like any other
Like
marriage.
other
But
marriages.
the two, I know they say opposites attract because what I did get from him is I can relax, I can put my feet up. I'm more an action person and will always have a list of things to do, accomplishments. I love that. Tick that off. Like, you know me, Donna. I'm a planner. I
Stickies
plan.
are all over the
Oh,
place.
I love to plan events. I like to plan things, get things
Mm-hmm.
done, decorate my house,
Mm-hmm.
action stuff at work. And then he's like, just, man, just come sit down and put up your foot
And
and,
relax.
and relax. And it's not to say that he's not ambitious and doesn't get things done, but he does it on his own time. So for the person that gets things done, you're thinking, oh, you don't care. You don't care about my needs. I don't necessarily have to have things done immediately as I would like it to be done, but in a reasonable time frame would be like 2 months. And I'm like, hey, hi, remember that thing that we talked about 2 months ago? Can we put some action on that thing now?
Mm-hmm.
So it had those challenges for sure in understanding each other's mode of operation, I call it.
And it's so funny you said time frame, right? And as you said, what your time frame is and his time frame is like total opposite time frame, right?
Opposite.
I know they have all this talk about love languages and personality traits and all of that because call it for what it is, Marjorie. It's me meets my time, D with me type of thing, right? And not
Yes.
realizing that, the other person is not on the same time frame because I
No.
was like Wayne, and it's, that's why when you talk about him, it's like I understand and I get it because to have a conversation with me back then,
Mm-hmm.
I would go in my cocoon and
Yes.
wait until the heat dies down or whatever dies down, then I'm open and I like pretend that nothing happens, like, but those are just band-aid solutions,
Yep.
and those band-aid solution, the band-aid come off, and
They
and then
do.
that's when the hurt and the whole confusion is like, huh, well, how did that happen? Because of the lack of conversation and the lack of communication. And
That's
that's what it's
exactly
great
it.
for you. So my question for you though, Marjorie, Has there ever a time that you said, you know what, I am done? This is it. Or are you a fighting girl because you know what you have and you're keeping it, and keeping it real?
Um, Absolutely. Like, I probably don't even have enough fingers to count. I'm done here. It is, and it's not. I am one, like, it would have to be really drastic for me to say, like, for me, I'm a very committed partner. Like, he met me and already knew that about me because I was in a relationship and I wasn't going to be talking to you on the side in that. So I had already um, revealed to him who I was in a relationship. So he
Hmm.
had that. There was no, and I'm just like that. I wear my feelings on my sleeve. What you see is what you get. And you know that, like, I'm
Yes.
not that person who's going to be ooh today and tomorrow ooh. No, this is it, very transparent. So in that regard, when you're not working with someone that comes from that place of transparency, even with their emotions, they're very guarded. They're You don't know what you're working with. It's only
Hmm.
assumptions. You only have you and your brain that's going. So because of that, I had many, many times as of I'm done because
Hmm.
I'm working, trying to work with you. But when you're not feeling the person's working with you back, then you're like, why, what are we doing here?
Hmm.
And you don't even understand at that point why they have this inability not to do this thing.
Because you're not
We're not
like
even
that.
there yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what? And then, but now where you are, we won't even talk about that. No, we are on. Yeah, you understand.
Y- y-
Like we don't come from the same place when it
Yes.
comes to thoughts or background and the stories.
Yes.
Because it's and I love him so much, and you know this, because every time I see him and the things that he does back in the days, like it brings up memory for me because I was that, or that, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And not
Yes.
even realizing that those were just things that's in your head, and it's not even about shame. It's just where you are. You didn't know how to communicate, and
Exactly.
you don't have that person like your personality to say, you know what the hell is going on, and asking the right questions and
Mm-hmm.
being patient and loving, because it makes a
Yes.
big, 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 big difference in any marriages.
It does. But if before you can get there, in my situation, you have to learn. Because immediately you're not thinking about any of that. To you, this looks weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this I'm dealing with? How? And it's so crazy because, people that say, oh my gosh, I pray and I ask God for this and that and blah, blah, blah. And the things that you're not asking God for are things that you are because you're assuming the person is coming with that.
Exactly.
You're asking
Exactly.
God for beg him can cook, him I go clean, him have a job, and like these things that because my dad didn't have that, so I'm asking God for these things. But
Superficial stuff
my dad could communicate.
of
He
everything.
had Joe, like he was a provider. He was all these things. So what? Look at the list I didn't pray for that I didn't get.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's why I tell people, be very intentional. Do not assume anything.
For those ladies that's going to be listening to this, be intentional.
Be intentional.
Ask for the things that you want or need, not things that you
Yeah.
can't do for yourself. And it's so
Yep.
true. It makes a big, huge difference.
Yes. Because you do not know where the person came from. When
Exactly.
you meet someone, you are not asking those questions in hindsight that I should have asked before.
Exactly.
Now, number one, tell me about your childhood. And when you ask that question, it is so broad. They're going to tell you about um, if him and him friend go to the soccer field, run on ball, all the
Kickball.
well, push start, push the wheel with this panic and all the fun that they had. But that's all fine. But the questions you should be asking should be related to their character.
Hello.
What did you observe with the young men in your community or the men? Was there a lot of men with their wives? Did you experience how did these men treat you? And what was the expectation of you even as a child? And these specific questions will tell you everything at the beginning. And this is the part that we miss in relationships. We do not get down to this start of that, the person you're meeting, this adult person, and what that was like to help you to understand what you were going to get.
And
You remember seeing and not heard as a child? That's a real thing,
it is
which was not
huge.
a real thing in my childhood.
Hmm.
I heard about it, but because that wasn't us, then I'm thinking, we're good.
Everybody's not. Everybody's the same. And but also, Marjorie, and those are amazing points that you just talked about asking specific stuff. So
Mhm.
on the other foot, what we want these ladies to do is when, or men, because it works both ways, is when
Both
you're
ways.
hearing
Yeah.
these stories of how you were brought up. This is like for you now to ask another question, like follow-up questions, and see behaviors, because a lot of person may hear this person did this,
Mm-hmm.
but still say, you know what, let me fix him or let
Oh,
me work
yes.
with him,
No,
because you
no.
know that's a thing,
Oh, yes, it is a thing.
so
Yeah.
it's like, and at this point when persons are asking this, and I mean, mind you, he may have a screwed up background or childhood, and things can change, yes, but you have to be very awoke and be present and understanding. And meanwhile he's talking to you, you need to be present and listening, and instead of
Yeah.
going la 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 and start planning your wedding,
Very
because
true.
that happens all the time, and this is
It
where
does.
missteps.
Yeah.
You're asking the questions, you're getting the answers, but you're still ignoring them.
Yes, absolutely. And that journey did not happen for me. I assumed because of the way I was raised, what I observed with my parents, that that
Hmm.
was a regular thing.
Hmm.
And I was very naive to think that that was the situation. So
Hmm.
then there lies the problem when I met my husband and now we're in a marriage, thinking that this person had the same type of environment I did. And he's Jamaican. I was not born in Jamaica. I was born in England. My parents are Jamaicans, but I did not grow up there. There's a difference
It's a
because when they
huge
bring you
difference.
to North America, they're raising you in a different society and you're not experiencing the same things as a child growing up in Jamaica.
You know what? And that is so true. I remember as a child, you always hear people talk about show me a company, tell me you are.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're living in an environment that has violence or abusive relationship or non-communicative, and
Hmm.
this is a community that you're grown up into, that's what you know. And the
Yes.
minute you step out of that, even if as a younger age, it's a little bit easier to relearn some stuff and try and relearn in some new way of thinking or
Hmm.
behavioral pattern. But if you're going to be there until adulthood, and you know no better, that's the same thing you're going to be going on into your next relationship. And that's how
Yes.
we also talk about stopping certain things to restart. But this is where we
Yeah.
have to realize that we have to say, you know what, we have to acknowledge where we are in our journey and say, you know what, this not feel good, or what I did to that person, it wasn't right, because we're all born with a conscience.
We are, and I mean, my husband, his love language is acts of service. He is so giving. Like you could call him,
Yes.
like Donna, you know it. If you
Yeah.
call him 2 o'clock in the
In
morning
my
because the
reach.
car broke down, that would be nothing for him to jump up out of the bed, jump in and
Yep.
go help you. So there are. I say that because there are wonderful things that you see about someone when
Mm-hmm.
you meet them, and anything, any behavior or I would just say behaviors. An extreme to any behavior is not good.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Every behavior needs balance. You can't be too giving. You can't be too. All these extra things will cause burden,
Or
and your
else.
scale will not be balanced
It's true.
because then there's no boundary setting. You're now in, that was great. And I love that about my husband. But when you don't set boundaries and people are calling you that your wife doesn't know to do things, and it's especially women, because women, when they are find a guy that they can call to do things for,
They're
and
calling them no
the
matter.
guy is not saying, let me check with my wife to see it's okay, or let me introduce you to my wife and so that she feels more comfortable about this,
Hmm.
that causes a problem.
It does.
But they're not going to do that because they were not raised
That
to
way.
have any regard for their female partner,
Hmm.
because that wasn't seen then. So when you are an adult male not seeing that in your childhood, then you're just, like you said, Donna, you're just going along thinking that this is
It's
normal.
fine. It is. It's normal.
It's normal,
Yeah.
and it's not it, and then you're wondering why your relationship is not working. Well, it's not working because you're not setting any boundaries with people. And when you're saying, talking about disrespect, that comes on all types of level.
Every
People throw
level.
that word around like it's nothing. You're so disrespectful. Like, what is this at the end of the day? What
What
is being
meaning? Yeah.
disrespectful?
What meaning are you putting behind it? You
Yes.
know. Um. Wow, Marjorie, this is some powerful thing.
Yes.
Before you know what this is, we have to have a part two because you know what part one is not going to put in that little
No,
window that
it's
I
not.
have.
Yeah.
But before we go on there, right? I want to know, 19 going on to 20 years. I want to know, apart from when things are not going rough, what keeps this marriage nice and spicy? Because I know my girl and I know my friend. So if it's not one thing, so you have an amazing relationship. How do you keep the spice and the excitement in a 19-year marriage? Because honestly, that spending 19 or 20 years with somebody can get so monotonous. So what
Yes, it can.
what keeps this fire burning?
Well, because I'm already an action person, I like change. I'm silly. So I'm the girl that would do like role plays. And I mean, all of these things are out of my husband's comfort zone. So you do, after a while, he's now, clearly he's into it because it's never gone. He's never said, stop those role plays, girl.
He's smiling
So
behind it like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
role
We've
playing
done
night.
role play on any level. Like, there's no boundaries to role. When you talk about those other boundaries, it doesn't apply to this. Those boundaries don't apply. There's no
Isn't that
boundary
amazing
when
though?
it comes to. So we've set up a club in the basement, and then we have a bar, and he likes to play music, as you know. So I would be dressed up in my skanky club outfit, and go downstairs, and he's the DJ of the club, and I would sit at the bar, and we talk like we've never met before, and we'll so we'll do that. We have I have alter ego named Consuela. Remember that one?
Remember? Gonna tell a story after that, but keep going.
So Consuela is my alter ego, where she gets dressed up in her little itsy bitsy things, and she will be a housemaid to Wayne. And so that one's always a hit. That never goes wrong. Ever, ever, never gets tired. Even after all these years, like, Consuela can come out of nowhere and she's good.
You remember several years ago when I think we went to Alley Cats for my birthday,
Mhm.
and you're coming by yourself. I'm gonna say, which part Wayne there? She says, who's Wayne? I'm here by myself. I
Yeah,
know you did that role playing before, but it never happened. Like I didn't know,
you weren't a
and
part of it.
I wasn't a part. And you never give me no heads up. She said, "Who's Wayne? I'm here by myself. No ring. Like
What?
free single." And there's like, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, Mr. Wayne come in, and Wayne stand up by himself, and I'm wondering, okay. And I'm just watching because I have no idea what was going on. And
Okay.
then Wayne came over and says, "Oh hi, my name is blah blah blah. Nice to meet you." And then it's like the hammer just a boop, and you guys were just like on the never met. Like it's just crazy. And for me, as a person looking back, watching you, and anybody who did, most people never know you, and to realize that you guys just met.
Yeah.
and then uno disappear, and then uno reappear. It's like,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
those are just great example of why I know why you're a fighting wife, because that minute thing
yeah.
that you know can be fixed and that person wants to fix it,
It
it's
is.
worth it.
It is. It is. And when you do get to learn, and that'll be our other segment about how we
Yes.
got past that and really learned about each other.
Yes.
And that's when you can truly live in that beautiful space. Because if you do not learn about each other and get down to those painful stories of your childhood and what you experienced and why you're not vulnerable and you can't trust and you flight instead
Fight
of
and
stand,
flight.
yes, then you really have no hope of it working if you don't get to the bones.
Oh my God, Marjorie, I want to thank you so much for joining me
Yeah.
today to give me a little insight of your marriage and your relationship and the journey. And just to wrap things up right now, this episode is about relationship and Marjorie's journey as a married woman for 19 years with someone that she met at two different spectrum. Marjorie is bubbly and party and planner, and then she has her partner who's laid back and one of the most loving person ever. But sometimes we would say words that trigger someone and we have no idea that those words are triggering words. But
Yes.
with patience and understanding, we have to ask the right questions. And when we ask the right
Mm,
questions, then we'll get the right answers.
absolutely.
This is Donna Sauer. We talk with Sarah's Desires. Look out for part two. Hopefully, we can convince hubby to come in, where I know it's not going to happen, but fingers crossed that will come and join us.
Right.
Okay. Until we see you in part two, have a great day. Oh, by the
Thank you.
way,
Yeah.
check out my website at iamdonnasavage.com and comment and share. And if you want to be a guest on Talk with Savage Desires, let me know. Reach out to me. My contact information is here and it also will be on YouTube. Just click and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, love. Bye.